What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Generational Selective Memory. Now, what I mean by that is we all seem to forget that if we feel like if the generation under us is bad, usually you gotta blame the generation above them. Because the dysfunction that you get mad at may be different from the dysfunction that you had when you were younger, but they just took your dysfunction to another level because you normalized your dysfunction in front of them. What do I mean by that? I know people who, you take 3 generations, 4 generations, they'll say something like, I just taught you how to smoke weed, right? The generation prior to that, when I was your age, my family members were snorting coke, right? And then, and they're teaching people how to drink, you know what I'm saying? And now people are popping pills or something like that. So they'll say it's lesser and lesser compared to what they were doing, right? But you made drug use normal, no matter how you slice it. You did what you thought was socially acceptable, because people seem to forget that at the time cocaine was socially acceptable. And now weed is socially acceptable. Alcohol has been socially acceptable, but I don't know about this pill stuff. I really don't. Some places, syrup is socially acceptable. I don't get that either. But you teaching dysfunction from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. And then you're looking at people younger than you. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Like, you forgot, You got people generations who just quote unquote told white lies. Then since white lies were normal, then you had the generation past them just do straight lies, right? And then you have a generation after that become just pathological lies. And then you're like, well, y'all lie for everything. And we didn't lie on that level. We didn't lie about everything. We had some kind of decorum, and we actually would deal with the consequences of our actions, blah, 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 etc., etc. But it's just like teaching a child a lie. Once you teach that habit, you don't get to control on the level of which they do it, because your dysfunctional level is their normal. Just saying. People fought back in the day, and knives and whippings and bats, and then escalated to guns, and now people don't even know how to fight, so they carry guns so they don't have to because they scared to fight. And then you call it generation soft. I think that's soft too, but at the same time, you skip the guys who walking around with crowbars and bats and chains and knives because they were scared to fight. They made it normal to reach for weapons. If you get in a fight, pick up a brick or something and do something. Like, either you're gonna win or you're gonna lose. That's what it's about. Is it a fight or is it life or death? Are you getting into an altercation with somebody, or are you fighting for your life? That's 2 different type of fights. Just in my opinion. But That's what happens, Some of you guys out here having relationship issues, you know, because of the things that were done that you consider normal. I had those older family members who thought it was okay. I'm cheating. I'm cheating on my girlfriend. I'm cheating on my wife. I got multiple women, and then they had a daughter, and then they got all of a sudden their daughter get grown and gets cheated on by the grown men now who are the little boys who they taught that it was okay to cheat. Now all of a sudden forget you taught this young man to do your daughter like this. And now these young men, these guys, they can't handle responsibility. Hey, you was giggling and smiling when you had a girlfriend across town and a wife in the house. You thought it was fun. You know what I'm saying? You thought it was cool. You creep around like that. You say you was going to work when you actually called in sick to be with that other woman and told the little kids, this is how I get down. But now that, your daughter's going crazy trying to, break somebody's code on their iPhone. Oh, now you want to, y'all need to have manners. Y'all boys there's rules and regulations to this. You didn't have any rules and regulations. I hate to break the news to you. Because y'all wasn't real with the women. Just saying. I was watching a little hip hop thing when the guys were talking about, you got one generation who said they were dealers. Now you got a generation who glorifies users or addicts or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, either way it goes, it's both negative. We was just getting money. If you was a dealer, you knew you was destroying somebody else's family because somebody else was an addict and that addict might have had kids and those children had to grow up with an addict, and thus that could either make them somebody who doesn't use drugs at all because they don't like how it looks, somebody who becomes a dealer because addicts run through so much money that their kids are forced to fend for themselves, so force them into a drug trade. So now they're a drug dealer because you providing their adult in life with dope, or they become addicts. So now you get up and you're like, oh man, I don't understand these youngsters out here, always on drugs. But half of y'all drug dealers, more than half of y'all drug dealers was on drugs. If you were selling crack or cocaine, you was getting high on weed. You was alcoholic. It was something. A lot of y'all wasn't clean. A lot of y'all will get high on another supply if it's not your own supply. But now all of a sudden you got morals and a selective memory, right? And I think it's crazy, and sometimes it's crazy because I'm like, you know what you did. Don't front now. Bothersome to me, Then when it comes to decorum and manners and stuff, you start thinking about, these kids don't act like this, they don't act like that. But at the same time, you forget all the ignorant stuff before ratchet was a term, ratchet stuff that you used to do in front of these children and you taught them to be this way. And all of a sudden now, you're too old to do the high school stupid stuff that you were doing as a full-fledged grown adult, mind you. And now you see these young kids, whether it be teenagers or young adults, take it to a whole nother level of ignorance and stupidity. Now you want to say, I don't know. You taught them to act that way, though. The music now sucks. It's a little, for me, it's a little too vulgar. Yeah. But I was listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony. They was talking about getting high, shooting people, selling dope, and worshiping the devil, basically. So, and everybody else That era was talking about shooting people and beating the brakes out people and screwing people's wives like it was funny and stuff like that. So, I mean, now you can't say these, they got to have better morals because, let's be honest, it's pretty bad. Too Short, Too Live Crew, uh, Cool G Rap was saying some off the chain type stuff. NWA, whatever. But I just think it's messed up that we got generational selective memory because you got to check yourself at the door because a lot of times what happens with every generation, the older generation tries to lecture the younger generation as to how they could be better, but the younger generation looks at the older generation like with no respect because like you taught me this. I'm not doing it exactly how you do it because we got a different generation, but you taught me all of this stuff. Don't act like it just came out of nowhere. So, we got to stop being hypocrites when it comes to that because if a generation is dysfunctional, they just took your dysfunction to the next level. So, it is what it is. We out. Peace.